Hey guys, Pedro here to tell you my favorite 5 albums for the month of July. As always, I have to explain that only albums that I reviewed throughout the month make this list. And I always start by chronological order of date of release. So without further ado, let's get going with Orden Ogan, The Order of Fear, of July 5th on RPM. This is the band's 8th studio album. They are a power metal band, and this is one of my favorite records by Orden Ogan. I'm not going to go as far as to say that this is my favorite record of all time, because I don't think that would be accurate, but it's definitely in the discussion. It's an album that has all of the core elements of Orden Ogan. It's a little bit of a throwback record that depends a lot more heavily on guitars and drums and obviously vocals. It doesn't have a synthetic sound behind it. It's a little bit more meat and potatoes, and I enjoyed that style a lot more when it comes to Orden Ogan. I think you get more powerful records, you get heavier records, more driven records, and definitely more catchier and hookier songs, which is exactly what you're going to get from The Order of Fear. Next we have Kryptos, Decimator, out July 5th on AFM Records. This is the band's 7th studio album. They are a heavy metal band, and this is another step forward for Kryptos. They're a band that has evolved with every album, but they haven't changed their sound, they haven't changed their DNA. They've improved in the songwriting, they've improved in the overall album aspect, they've improved in the production, but they've kept themselves very close to their DNA, to their core DNA, since their first album all the way to now. And this record to me is one that shows that evolution, that has better sound, a little bit better production behind it, and that allows songs to be a lot hookier, a lot catchier, to have a more deep impact, but still keeping that new wave of British heavy metal sound, just with a little bit more grit, creating an album that is fantastic from start to finish, an album that features JJ from Skullfist on drums, a good friend of mine. So if that's not enough for me to give this album a shout out, I don't know what it is, but I love Kryptos and I love Decimator. Next we have Visions of Atlantis, Pirates II-Armada, out July 5th on Napalm Records. This is the band's 9th studio album. They are a symphonic metal band, and this one is easy for me to say. Best album by Visions of Atlantis ever. I didn't think they were going to surpass Pirates. Pirates was a phenomenal record by all accounts, and it's very difficult to come back with a sequel to that record and allow that sequel to surpass the original material. But they've done that. This album is heavier at times. It's more powerful. Better songwriting, more catchier and hookier songs, more elaborate songs, great harmonies, both musically and vocally. It's an album that has just so much life, and every song is a single. It's not every day that you get a record where every song is a single, and this album definitely delivers that. It surpassed my expectations. I think it surpassed everybody's expectations. It's a phenomenal album from top to bottom, and it shows how much this band has evolved over the last years, how much this band has worked towards reaching the point in which they are now, which they're becoming easily one of the best bands within the genre in terms of what they can offer, in terms of what they can deliver, the consistency of the quality that they put forward. This album by Visions of Atlantis is nothing less than phenomenal. Next, we have Nictophobia with To the Stars, out July 5th on Apostasy Records. This is the band's fourth studio album. They are a melodic death metal band, and this album might go under the radar for a lot of people because they're not a huge household name and they're not signed to a major record. So for those of you that don't know this band, go check them out. They're phenomenal. They're your prototypical melodic death metal band that creates a heavy yet melodic album with a lot of melancholy infused in it. This record has a great concept. And it doesn't just have a great concept. They were able to create the sound that brings to life not just the lyrics of the songs, but the title of the songs. When you read the name of a song on this record, expect the sound to bring that name to life throughout the experience of going through that track from the first second all the way to the last. That to me is where this album really stands out. It's not just great songs, not just great vocals, not just great composition, but really creating a soundscape that becomes the soundtrack, that becomes the fingerprint of that track, of the title of the track, of the lyrics on the track. Last but definitely not least, Powerwolf, Wake Up the Wicked, out July 26 on Napalm Records. This is the band's 10th studio album. They are a power metal band, and I was really iffy about this record. I'm going to be honest. I wasn't completely sold on some of the singles, and I wasn't sure where this album was going to be. I kind of had the impression that this was going to be Powerwolf the Sabaton. It's just Powerwolf telling stories that relates to Powerwolf, similar in which Sabaton tells their stories that relates to wars and heroes. So that was kind of my mindset coming in, and I didn't think I wanted that out of Powerwolf. Now, once I listened to this record, there are a few songs on the album that fall under that paradigm. There's a few songs like Joan of Arc, for example, that have that almost Sabaton DNA in terms of the storytelling, how big it sounds, the sound behind the songs, even the vocal delivery. So there are a few tracks like that on this record. The good thing is that there's more tracks like the songs that I would expect from Powerwolf, more catchy, more hooky, more fun, more lighthearted, and not necessarily trying to tell a story and trying to create a concept within the track. Keeping things a little bit more loose, a little bit more free-flowing, definitely makes for a better sounding record all around. It definitely makes for a much funner experience as far as I'm concerned. And the other thing I thought was really cool on this record is that for as big as the sound is on this album, it's not the pianos that are creating it. I actually felt like the pianos on this record played a more subdued role than they did on some of the previous albums. So it's an album that sounds like Powerwolf, but at the same time they were able to change a few things here and there in order to show you Powerwolf, but a different side of Powerwolf. So you're not listening to a record that they've previous released, if you know what I mean. They're not repeating themselves with this album, but they're still giving you enough of who they are to make this at least a better album than the two previous ones, which I wasn't a huge fan of. This one, Wake Up the Wicked, definitely feels like a more of a Powerwolf traditional sounding and traditional feeling record. This is it. These are my favorite 5 albums for the month of July. Hit me up in the comment section. Let me know what you like, what you've been listening to, what albums made your list. Dying to hear that. I'm dying to see that and read that. And I'll see you all at the next video. Take care, guys.